Hi, it's me again with Coreldraw tips and tricks, and this is part 2. I'm trying to help somebody save this file that they're going to cut out on plasma cutter, and here's why it won't work. Because that helmet is just going to fall out of the whole piece. So how can we save it? One, it's not going to look as good, but you can, and first of all, the person I'm doing this for, you need to draw in a hairline in Coreldraw, so when you convert it to a DXF, it's the thinnest line possible. And then the reason I realized it, because I drew a hairline rectangle. The shape doesn't really matter. I'm going to put one there, I'm going to hit the plus key on the keyboard. I'm going to mirror it just so I can see it. I'm going to put another one over here. And just by doing this, and I'm going to show you in here in just a second, I'm going to take away that box, take away that box. And now I'm going to use the same smart fill, and you're going to see the total difference of what is going to work. So now everything black is going to stay. Everything white is going to fall out. So it's pretty cool. We could get rid of this outline and tell you what, let's see how big this thing is again, 14 inches. Let's set our nudge factor on 16. Let's move this thing out of the way. So the file is going to be smaller, or we can do a couple other things. Actually, the hatchet handles or hatchet heads are the biggest problem. Let's try to grab that second line and nudge it out of the way. But by doing that, I messed up when I went back, I changed my nudge factor. So let's set it on 15 and try to nudge that smaller one out of the way. So now we have a bigger object that's got a little more room. Then what I would do, only thing we need to do now is the hatchet or the axe heads and this respirator center. And we can do the respirator center, I'm pretty sure, by basically you're making a stencil and you're going to cut that away, and that's going to stop the plasma cutter from cutting all the way through there, and then this is what it's going to look like. Now these interior parts are going to fall out, but you could fix it almost the same way. Because anything that's left in red is going to fall out and not need to be cut. So let's do this. Let's change the axe heads, and let's take the shape tool and grab that right there and grab a couple of nodes and stretch this out to here. Grab that, grab a couple of nodes or a node and stretch it out to here. And then let's take this whole side and stretch it out to there. I'm not really concerned about that. We could do the same thing. And you also got to keep in mind how thin things are. So we're going to take the virtual segment delete key and delete that line and the outer lines that are past there. So delete the inside line, the outer lines. And you're going to see the difference because I'm not going to do the right axe head, I'm not going to do the left. I'm just doing the right one. So you can see what's going to be left and what's not going to be left. Now this is going to fall out, so I'm just going to cut it out. This is going to fall out, so I'm just going to cut it out. Now let's take the Smart Fill tool, and I'm going to go to the same spot. And now that's what it's going to look like. I think it's still going to, the white's going to fall out so that the top of the wood of the handle is going to fall out. You could go ahead and, just make sure everything's okay. These lines are going to fall out. Anything that it didn't get black is just going to fall to the ground. But I'm just going to go and take them all away. And you can kind of see what your metal would look like. That's a shame right there because that's a pretty good fact. And you could play around with that. You could, so that's what it's going to look like now. So it's not half bad. It's going to still lose a little bit of detail there. But, if you wanted that center spike back in there, let's back up here a little bit. Matter of fact, let's just take away this fill. And there's a way you could probably, use your imagination how to get the respirator to fit in there. One suggestion I would think would maybe just see, we've already cut this line. Maybe you could just cut a few more lines, and, you don't have to use a rectangle. You could use a circle and just take and cut with the virtual segment elite key, cut those away, go and take rid of our circle. And what that's going to do, it's actually going to have two now. Now, keep in mind, you'd want to fill that in. And let's see what it looks like when it's smart filled. So that'll work. It looks a little more like a respirator. Matter of fact, that looks real good. You could maybe do the same thing to the shields in his eye. Just make it just kind of, I'm not saying exactly like this, but anything you can do to keep the plasma cutter from cutting all the way through. And now let's not do the other side. Let's take our smart fill tool, fill this in, and you've got that. A little bit different effect. Now you're going to lose this totally because it's going to fall out. But you could, we're doing everything else. You can make it work just by putting a rectangle through there, take and delete all these lines, and delete. Now, if you notice, I'm not taking away my rectangle because I'm using my rectangle to stop. And like I said, I think I said a little bit earlier, you need to, you're going to have to just look at it with Smart Fill Tool. We didn't quite cure it because I didn't take away all the lines. But then what I meant to say, and before I forget, you want to seal all this up like I've done. And actually, you could do it with the Smart Fill Tool. That looks pretty good. I think that would work. Now, my suggestion is after you do something like that, take this. That's your Smart Fill. Left click, right click, and make sure it's on a hairline. And that should basically cut out once you did the axe to the same on both sides. It's going to look like that. Anyway, I hope that helped him a little bit. Thank you for watching.